Okay, by request, I'm going to do, let's see, exercise 6 from chapter 4, the car project. So Patti Garcia owns 2 cars, and we need to do some calculations here. I'm not going to read this to you. And I've already created my application and renamed the form. You know how to do that by now. So we should have text boxes for Patti to enter the following 5 items. The miles she'll drive, car 1 and car 2 miles per gallon, and then car 1 and car 2 cost per gallon. So going to first minimize these things. I don't need them. Okay. So maybe I'll start with some labels. And this is going to be drive. And now I'm trying to figure out how I would do this. I would actually make a group box for car 1. Okay. And then put a label in there. And what we need to store is the car 1's mile per gallon. So this is going to be MPG. I need a text box for that. Does not have to be that big. Whatever, we'll worry about that later. TXT car 1 MPG. And then we also needed get rid of this, the cost per gallon of gas. All right, so that's another label. Cost per gallon of gas. Car 1 cost gallon. All right, so let me make sure these things are lined up nicely. I think we're good there. Make this box a little bit smaller. Take this whole thing. Try that again. Take this whole thing. Line it up there. Paste. I have 2 of them. This is going to be car 2. Make sure these are named similarly. I'm just going to take the name here, copy it over here, paste, and change that 1 to a 2. So all I'm doing is just making sure my names are the same with 2's for car 2. All right, did I name this group? I did. Group car 1. This is group car 2. All right, so we have those inputs and then a couple of buttons. I'm not going to spend the time putting access keys in and everything. Well, I'll do this one. The buttons are the easy access keys, right? I'm being nitpicky here. All right, take all of this now, move it up to the corner, take the box, and set the accept button, set the cancel button, and on my form or my project, I need to say that we're starting with frmMain. Okay, let's see. How this looks like a good interface. Let me just check the tab order. like that tab order now. And lock it. Okay, so display that interface. It should also display the cars you should take, car 1 or 2, and approximately how much you'll save by taking that car. Okay, so I shouldn't have locked this yet. So I'm going to put in a label here. This is for my output. LBL car output. And because this is output, see if I can remember all this stuff. We need to check the background color to info, auto size to false, and border style to thick single. So here's my output label, and I'm going to clear the value of that. We'll put this right here. Give me another one of these. And then give me a normal label here. And this is going to say, take car. It tells us which car to take. And you'll save how much money you're going to save. So I think that was it, right? Display the car you should take and approximately how much you'll save by taking that car. If the total were the same, she should take car 1. Oh, we're going to have to remember that one. Okay, so I'm going to copy this because I'm totally going to forget this bit. I'm going to double click on BTN calculate. I'm just going to put that in as a comment because, like I said, I'm going to forget that. All right, and I always like programming the exit button because that one's easy. All right, so I guess we need to do this. This bit here, we'll get to in a minute. But I think the main thing that we're interested in is the calculations here. So if we know the distance to drive in miles per gallon, so we're going to have to declare some variables to hold the inputs. And there's going to be 5 of them. And then we need to get the inputs. Again, 5 of them. Calculate the calculate the cost to drive car 1 this distance. And then we need to do the same thing for car 2. And then put in the which one is cheaper by how much. Okay, let's do this. So we need 5 inputs, and the first one's going to be distance to drive. I'm going to use doubles here. DBL distance to drive. And then I have another one for car 1 MPG. And then car 1 cost per gallon of gas. And I'm not going to call this cost gas. I'm going to make sure I put gallon in there because down here we're going to have to figure out the cost of gas and I don't want to be confused. Okay. And I'm going to take these 2 lines, highlight them, Control D to duplicate, and then make these car 2. And then I need to get the inputs here. So I'm going to do double dot try parse, and I'm going to take the input, which is txt distance. I'm going to put it in DBL distance to drive. Oops, not txt distance. That's the txt distance is this box. So txt distance.text is the input to that box. All right, and I'm going to need this a few more times. So I Control D to duplicate that. I give myself a nice template to work with. Now I have 2 of them. All right, and what we're going to be storing is we're going to be setting up the car 1 mile per gallon and cost per gas. So this is going to be car 1 mile per gallon. It's going to be car 1 cost per gallon. And because we name these variables the same thing, I can duplicate this and make these 2s. And if you have any errors in here, because your variable names are different. Okay, so we got the our variables are populated now. Calculate the cost to drive car 1 this distance. So I'm going to say dim double cost drive car 1 as double is going to be, how much is it going to cost to move this distance? Well, if we know it's going to be the distance to drive divided by miles per gallon times car 1's cost per gallon of gas. So if we had, let's just say here, the distance to drive was 100 miles, and we got 10 miles per gallon, and gas costs $4. All right. Car 1, it would take 10 gallons of gas. Actually, let me make this 20, just so we're not using the same numbers anywhere. So car 1 gets 20 miles per gallon. So it would take 5 gallons to go 100 miles. That's 100 divided by 20. 100 divided by 20. 5 gallons at $4 per gallon of gas, we multiply that, gives us $20. All right. So that's the cost to drive that vehicle. And again, same thing. I'm going to duplicate this, move it down. So to do that, on that line, I hit Control D to duplicate, and I'm holding down the Alt arrow, and I hit the down arrow. I'm sorry, the Alt key, and I hit the down arrow to move that line down. All right, and then change my 1s in here to 2s. So now, which one is cheaper? Remembering, if they're the same, take car 1. So if DBL, sorry, I put parentheses in, different language. DBL cost drive 2. If cost drive 2 is less than DBL cost drive car 1, then LBL car output dot text should be equal to, and what's this going to say? Take car, I'm going to say car 2. And LBL, what's that other LBL? Oh, we didn't. So this LBL, you save. LBL, you save dot text is equal to, if car 2 is cheaper, we need to take cost of car 1 minus the cost of car 2. Right? And we need to take this and convert it to a string. So a couple of different ways to do this. And I know this has to be currency. I'm just going to use format currency. Click factor that way. All right. And then I can put in here an else and do pretty much the same thing here. So Control D to duplicate, Alt down arrow to move it down. And I'm going to say car 1, that's 2, that's 1. So which one's cheaper? By how much? Move that comment up here. And we already have this one in place. So I think we're pretty good here. Let's run this and see what it does. All right, I got to drive 100 miles. Car 1 gets 20 miles per gallon, $4 a gallon. Car 2 gets 25 miles a gallon, and it costs $6 a gallon. At car 1, you'll save $4. I wonder if we can see. No, we don't have any breakpoints in there. So it would be nice to know like what these variables are, right? Just to like double check our output. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to say console.writeLine, and I'm going to put here, put this in. So console.writeLine is debugging output, and it takes a string, and I'm going to concatenate another string. Oops, I'm going to make this to string. Right? So it's going to write this to my output, my debugging output. So let's run this one more time. 124, 25, 6. And if I come down here to my output window, it shows me the cost to drive car 1 is $20, which we had talked about before. That's how it works out. And the cost to drive car 2 is $24. If the cost for this gallon of gas were 5, there's no difference. But remember, when there's no difference, take car 1. All right, I don't like the way this is lining up, this output. We'll have to change that. That's just an output thing, whatever. So that is the most of this assignment. Okay, if I go back here, the 3 text boxes, they get the trip miles and miles per gallon, should only accept numbers and backspace. And then the ones that get the cost per gallon should accept numbers, period, and backspace. So let's see. To do that, I'm going to click on these 3 boxes. Go to the events, and on key press, let's see, where's key press? There it is. So every time you press a key, I'm going to say numbers only. And I only want to accept numbers here. So if e.keychar is greater than or equal to 0, and also e.keychar is less than or equal to 9, then this is okay. All right, if it's between 0 and 9, it's okay. So all I'm going to do is exit this sub procedure. Else, if e.keychar is equal to, and what do we say that this accepts? And the backspace key. I think it's like control characters back. Okay, then we can also exit the sub. So these are valid characters. If any of these characters are valid, we just leave this sub procedure. Otherwise, e.handle is true, which says basically stop the character input from happening. Okay. So distance to drive, I can put in 45, that worked. I can hit the backspace, make it 42, that works. And then if I go to type any other keys, it's not working. All right, stopping that input. So that was that. The cost per gallon should accept numbers, the period, and the backspace key. So cost, I'm going to select these 2 boxes on key press. We're going to say, what do we want to call this? Maybe like double number. Whatever. Doesn't really matter what it's called. It's going to be the same code, only we need one more. Else if e.keychar is equal to dot, then exit sub. All right. If any of these things are true, exit the sub procedure. All right. So double numbers only will allow 0 through 9 backspace or a period in there. So if I come up here, this is numbers only 45. I can't hit period, right? When we say cost a gallon per gas, I can do 2.89. I can't hit any other characters, but I can hit backspace. So that was that bit. When the text box receives a focus, the existing text should be selected. So I'm going to select these text boxes. And then when you enter, I'm going to say select all text. So what we have here is one event handler that's handling, entering 5 different text boxes. So which text box are we entering into is this sender. Okay, this sender is either txt distance or txt car2 or txt car2 gallon per cost, etc., etc. That's what sender is. But sender is just a generic object. All right, so what we need to do is direct cast sender into a text box. So we're saying make sender a text box. And then we want to select all of the text within that text box. So now when I run this application, I put 45 there, I hit 12 or tab, type in 12. When I go back, that 45 is selected. All that text is selected because I said select all once you enter that box. Okay, so this bit is a little bit advanced, especially for this part in the book. Otherwise, you'd have to create 5 different event handlers. We instead have one sub procedure that handles 5 different events. Again, a little bit more advanced, but nice clean code. It should be cleared when content or change is made. So same thing, I have all of these selected, and when text changed, what I want to do is clear outputs, output labels maybe. All right, just set those values to nothing. I'm not going to test that. Test the application and test. So that should be it for this particular assignment. Again, this one's a little bit more advanced, so maybe make 5 different event handlers or be ready to explain what's going on here. But there is exercise 6 from chapter 4.